right, folks, it's Friday. How you feeling? Unleash the Jeremy Hansen Show. Look, I see Big Sarge is on Facebook under Liberty One, along with Joni, Sean, Johnny, Brandy, Dolores, Tom, Melissa. How are you guys all doing? Oh, Craig Holmes is on there too. How is everybody doing today? Oh, second hour. I'm excited. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but I've been waiting for these stupid things forever. Okay, and they finally got done. You know what? I could have given out about 50,000 of them up at Springfield, up at the Trump rally, and I didn't have any to give. Shame on me. It is what it is. I'm excited. I want to welcome LibertyOneTV.com, Liberty One Broadcasting, Talk America Radio, Mojo 50, Roku, Fire, and Smart TV, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, YouTube, Real.video, of course, YouTube, at Facebook, and my favorite platform right now, absolutely the favorite, Spreely. That's right, because you can actually say what the hell you want to on Spreely. It's like almost like a good song, like speak freely. You know, I'm going to keep my day job because I know I'm not that good a singer, but it is what it is. Spreely, folks, get over there. Spreely.com, speak freely. I don't care if you're a liberal. I don't care if you're a conservative. All that I care is that you want to talk freely. Get over there, Spreely.com. Also, get over to UJHLive.com, sign up for the newsletter. A lot's been going on. I've got some help here. I actually got some help for Unleashed, the Jeremy Hansen Show, and it feels so good. Things are changing. The way that we are going to put this show out is actually changing. The places that we are on, we're going to keep on the ones we are, but we're expanding heavily. And we're also going to be doing more live streaming, which I think is important. As a matter of fact, today, Craig and I and my wife, we were out here, we were going through our kit that we have to go on site. I mean, we've got a little bit of everything. I shouldn't say a little bit. We've got exactly what we need and then a little bit more for that. Now, we have some other things coming up I will let you guys know about on Monday, but be ready. Be ready. This, I'll tell you what, Unleash the Jeremy Hansen Show is going to take off like a freaking rocket ship. I just hope the Space Force doesn't think I'm the bad guy, if you know what I'm saying. Anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about something today that nobody else wants to talk about. I mean, literally, nobody else, I don't know what it is. I really don't. I think it's something that we should talk about. You know, these diseases. You know, I think the biggest threat to Americans by foreign and domestic people is not getting shot by a gun, is not getting blown up. I think the biggest threat to Americans, because of all the technology we have, when we talk about drones, when we talk about, you know, little mini bombs, when we talk about the availability for people to do harmful things by reading on the internet, some of the questionable things people have done, I think germ warfare, I think diseases are right up there on the list. I mean, you can't get any worse than some of the things going on in America today. As a matter of fact, go Google one time. Google disease outbreaks. And now, most of you are going to think, well, if you Google disease outbreaks, you know, what's the number one thing that's going to come up? Well, this could, that could. But it's all in Africa, the Middle East, maybe in Asia somewhere. What's number one on the list on Wikipedia? I just want to ask you. Number one on the list on Wikipedia for disease outbreaks. Hepatitis A in California, the good old US of A. Number one on Wikipedia, hepatitis A. Seems a little bit weird, doesn't it? Doesn't it, hepatitis? I mean, everybody knows you can get hepatitis from sharing needles. Oh, yeah, they got a real bad drug problem. Everybody knows that cleanliness is a real problem with hepatitis. Oh, yeah, problem. You couldn't have anything to do with the policies that the Democrats have pushed on the Californians that now have to experience disease. And with disease comes famine. With famine comes crime, disease, famine, crime, depression. What is California doing? What is the rest of the United States doing? What is the CDC doing? Now, I'm telling you from experience, ladies and gentlemen, I know a little bit about politics, the CDC, lawyers, insurance companies. I know a lot of bit about it because I have Lyme disease. They have no idea where Lyme disease ever came from. I can tell you where it came from. It came from a little island that had the roof ripped off in a storm. And the government tried to take the stuff that they knew was infected with the Lyme spirochete. And they tried to get rid of it, but, they had some problems. And people right off the coast of that island started getting sick with this thing they call Lyme disease. So they sent a bunch of scientists out there from Wisconsin. And guess what? So you have the East Coast Lyme and you have Wisconsin Lyme. The people that went out to get it, to find out what the hell it was. All the credible research that I've been able to do on it points me to the direction of simply that our government was trying to come up with a way to have a biological weapon to use in war. Everything that I have found, and as a matter of fact, I don't know if it's next week or the week after, we're actually having somebody come in studio. That's right. A special ops guy for the military. He's been all over the world. I happen to be good friends with him. He happens to help me with security from time to time, but he knows a lot about these diseases. Why? Because he may or may have not been one of the guys that helped do military transport of some of these things. So I ask you, if you want to wipe out a whole population, if you were the deep state and said, okay, it's getting to the point we might lose all of our power. We don't have enough guns. We don't have enough guns to win. Brzezinski, easier to kill 1 million people than it is to control 1 million people. George Soros, I'm all tapped out. I don't have any more money to pay these protesters to go up and commit physical violence. Then what would happen? I mean, have you ever thought we watch Ebola break out? Well, oh my gosh, how many people are dying? But they don't care, right? We have a hepatitis A outbreak in California, and nobody bats an eye. Listen to this. With the slowdown in reported hepatitis A cases across California, the CDPH was demobilized. The outbreak response and continues to monitor reported hepatitis A cases statewide. While the CDPH might receive additional reports of outbreak-associated hepatitis A cases, CDPH has entered a new phase where monitoring of cases and prevention activities such as vaccinating the at-risk population. People experiencing homelessness and or using illicit drugs in settings of limited sanitation. Boy, that's a really nice way to put homeless, drug addict, prostitution. That's a really nice way to put those three. And then if you add on top of that, oh yeah, we have a huge, huge illegal alien problem in the state of California that has never been vaccinated for anything. Now, whether you believe in vaccines, whether you don't believe in vaccines, here's the truth. You can have good and you can have bad. Some of these vaccines held humanity together. Some of them are bad. You can have good and you can have bad in the same room, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what I'm talking about when it comes to these diseases. Now, can we stop hepatitis? Absolutely. Can we stop typhus? Absolutely. Can we stop, pretty much any disease that we want to in the world? Absolutely. So why do we have these outbreaks going on? Knowing that your children could be infected by a disease that isn't from around here, don't you think that that would give them pause in making sure that they held up their end of the bargain when it came to illegal aliens? Don't you think that the mayors of LA, San Francisco, San Diego, don't you think that they would say, hey, we could have an epidemic? We could literally have an epidemic where our hospitals wouldn't be able to control what's going on. Now, we watch typhoid. We watch those things in America. But could the bubonic plague, I mean, you say that, and here's what I think. When you say bubonic plague, if you've ever researched psychology or how our brains learn, bubonic plague, when you say any word, there is a picture attached to the word. As a matter of fact, in humans, it's impossible to learn anything without a picture attached to a word. Even blind people attach pictures they create in their own head to a word. When you say bubonic plague, I think about rats. When you say bubonic plague, I think about kings and queens and that type of time frame. Maybe we need to learn. I mean, don't you think most people would like to know that fleas in Arizona have the bubonic plague? Nobody's talking about it. Except for USA Today, but nobody's said anything about it. A hunter died from the bubonic plague up in Colorado a couple years ago. He was skinning an animal that happened to have the bubonic plague. Think about that really, really hard, and we'll be right back.
Church doors open with that black cloak flowing behind preacher's fiery eyes. You said your ticket to hell is a coming to you, and I got a hollow point to give you the ride. And the only thing faster than the cattleman's gun was the preacher man's hand and finger. He pulled iron from his side and let that bullet fly. Beat the rattlesnake to the hammer.
LibertyOneTV.com is proudly offering coffee. Unleashed dark roast, morning roast, medium roast. Come and support Unleashed Jeremy Hansen by buying coffee from LibertyOneTV.com. Whole bean, ground coffee, and K-Cups. Come and get some and show your support.
Well, it's as good as it can possibly be. But it's a cup of black coffee. That's what a working man needs. And I'm gonna tell you, back in America, that's the land of the free. You can get anything you want as long as you got the.
They use their media to assassinate real news. They use their schools to teach children that their president is another Hitler. They use their movie stars and singers and comedy shows and award shows to repeat their narrative over and over again. And then they use their ex-president to endorse the resistance, all to make them march, make them protest, make them scream racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia, to smash windows, burn cars, shut down interstates and airports, bully and terrorize the law-abiding, until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom, is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
Eagle 6 Gear, supporting police, firefighters, military, and the local community. Eagle6gear.com. Get amazing, great quality printed t-shirts, hats, and apparel of all designs, to include bulk orders and custom designing. So get online today for your chance to win a $100 gift voucher at Eagle6gear.com, or email support@Eagle6gear.com. Find them on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or contact them at 719-212-8883. 719-212-8883. Eagle 6 Gear.
Unleashed Jeremy Hansen here. If you would like to get a hold of me, email me, Jeremy@LibertyOneTV.com. Jeremy@LibertyOneTV.com. Thanks. All right, folks, Unleashed Jeremy Hansen, hour number 2, segment number 2. I was just looking on here. Linda Nichols, she says, most are germinated in eggs, which is why you are always asked if you're allergic to eggs. I worked in medicine for 40 years. I've got a question about all of this, and I've asked many, many doctors. I've seen literally They would send me from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor for Lyme, Meniere's, and now my diabetes. It is what it is. And each one of them would have their own thing that they come up with, and they'd tell me. And the simplest of questions, at least with diabetes, they can say, well, it's either hereditary, you're not taking care of yourself. Well, I don't know what's going on here, but it says OBS studio disconnected, whatever. Oh, reconnected. Look at that. Oh, it is what it is. But folks, I got to say this. I want to know just some very, very simple questions. Simple questions. Like, where did it come from? And if you don't know where it came from, how does it pass? How does it work? How do we stop it? Because don't you have to have a point of origin and learn a little bit about how it multiplies, how it passes, all of those things before you can figure it out? And if you really can find the mother, wouldn't you be able to learn about it? Well, here's what Wikipedia says about virus. Where do viruses come from? Type it in one time. Some viruses may have evolved from bits of DNA or RNA that escaped from the genes of a larger organism. Okay, now let's stop right there for a second. I'm not a scientist, but I can tell you right now, there's something wrong here. Some viruses may have evolved from bits of DNA or RNA that escaped. How does DNA or RNA escape? Escape what? If it's evolving, it's not its own creature. If that's the case, all our DNA in our bodies would be trying to become something else. Now, like I said, I'm not a scientist, but it just makes common sense. Thermodynamics says everything deteriorates with time. Everything. You paint a board, you put it on a wall, the board sits there, it deteriorates. It falls back into being what the DNA of it says it is. It doesn't change its DNA. So it says some viruses may have evolved from bits of DNA or RNA that escaped from genes of a larger organism. Well, I don't understand the escape part. And I don't believe in evolution. So it says the escaped DNA could have come from plasmids. Could have. This is the thing. Don't we know anything about anything? Can't they say definitively, well, this is what this type does, this is what this type does? No. They have theories. They have hypotheses. It says the escaped DNA could have come from plasmids or pieces of naked DNA that can move between cells. Or transposons, molecules of DNA that replicate and move around to different positions within the genes of the cell. Well, if you have and you know of, I'm just speaking out loud here, it's Freestyle Friday. If you know what transposons or transposons are, and they're molecules of DNA that replicate and move around to different positions within the genes of the cell, if they know what those are and they know that they replicate, why can't they take those and replicate good molecules of DNA in cancer? Because if you have transposons replicating themselves in the correct fashion, wouldn't that be a cure for cancer? I don't know. I'm just saying. Like I said, I'm speaking out loud. So what we're left with is something that says may have, could have. May have or could have. There is no this is what it is. I think that's very, very dangerous, and I think it's very, very scary. Some people don't want to, look at this and say, okay, yeah, we do have a problem. Yeah, our system in this country is not set up to deal with this, especially if it's used in a terrorist attack. On Savage.com, it says the plague is next among the homeless armies. This is Dr. Michael Savage speaking himself. He says, time and time again, I have warned of the dangers associated with chronic homelessness in our nation's cities, metropolitan areas, such as my own city of San Francisco. They have allowed the homeless to overrun the streets. Some saw my warnings as exaggerated, but we are now reaping the consequences of this neglect as we see in the city of Los Angeles. Los Angeles County health officials are warning residents after several cases of typhus have came to light. Typhus is closely linked to poor hygiene and overcrowding, and if left untreated, severe organ damage. Although typhus normally occurs throughout LA County, we are observing several cases in the downtown Los Angeles area. We encourage pet owners to practice safe flea control and encourage all cities in the county to ensure maintenance of their trash cleanup and rodent control activities. LA County Health Officer Dr. Muntu Davis told concerned citizens and reporters, typhus cannot be transmitted between humans. The CDC states that typhus occurs when fleas are infected with bacteria known as Rickettsia typhi or Rickettsia felis. Humans contract the disease from a flea bite or rubbing infected flea feces into sores or cuts on their skin. Savage goes on, he says, I warned about the health threat to the homeless population posed on our cities last Wednesday. I'm warning you, it's only going to take more and more of the so-called sheeple called liberals to be affected by the bums in the street until they wake up to the fact that they have created Frankenstein's monster. But worse than that, I'm warning you of what's coming. I've walked down the streets of San Francisco and I've seen bums picking lice off their clothing and their bodies. I've walked to the other side of the street. Let me tell you what diseases are lurking in the streets of California between the lice, the human feces, and the rats. You have an incubator for a major epidemic. And once this epidemic breaks out, who are you going to blame? Those of us who said round them up, give them treatment that they so desperately need, or are you going to blame yourself for being so tolerant? Well, he's just talking about the homeless population spreading typhus. I think that's scary as hell. We got fleas, San Francisco, lice. You know, and this is just what they tell us about what they know. So we got typhus in California running rampant among the homeless and the illegal aliens. Because remember, a lot of them, they constitute a lot of the homeless population in California. We also have a hepatitis A outbreak in California, one that they almost didn't get a hold of. Listen to this. San Diego, 587 cases. Santa Cruz, 76 cases. Los Angeles, 12. Monterey, 12. And others scattered around other counties, 17. 21 deaths, 704 cases. Now, here's my point. What if they could weaponize that? What if it's already weaponized? What if one day you're out hunting mushrooms, or you're out hunting, or you take a walk at the park, you take your dog for a walk? And what if some of these scientists are right? You know, like when it comes to Lyme, they're now saying that mosquitoes may be able to transmit spirochetes through blood. That's something to think about. Now, we know that fleas can carry typhus. We can carry all these other things, and they're right at their disposal. I'll be right back.
Behind preacher's fiery eyes. You said your ticket to hell is a coming to you, and I got a hollow point to give you the ride. And the only thing faster than the cattleman's gun was the preacher man's hand and finger. He pulled iron from his side and let that bullet fly. Beat the rattlesnake to the hammer.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Unleashed Jeremy Hansen, coming from LibertyOneTV.com or Liberty One Broadcasting. Come and check out my shirts, my hats, other Liberty One gear. But folks, my favorite thing in the world is a strong cup of Unleashed Dark Roast coffee. Oh yeah, black coffee. Come and get some at LibertyOneTV.com.
Eagle 6 Gear, supporting police, firefighters, military, and the local community. Eagle6gear.com. Get amazing, great quality printed t-shirts, hats, and apparel of all designs to include bulk orders and custom custom designing. So get online today for your chance to win at Eagle6Gear.com or email support@Eagle6Gear.com. Find them on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or contact them at 719-212-8883. 719-212-8883.
That pain in your chest, it may mean nothing, but it may take everything. So know the symptoms of a heart attack: shortness of breath, nausea, dizziness, chest pain, arm pain, or a cold sweat. If you experience any of them, call 911 and get to the nearest emergency room. It's your health. Everything is up to you.
Unleashed Jeremy Hansen here. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a grandfather. We need to take care of our bodies. Protect yourself from a heart attack and take CoQ10. Go to libertyoneTV.com/shop and go check out our nutraceuticals, Zenerex CoQ10, the highest quality products to protect you and your family. Come and check it out, folks. libertyoneTV.com/shop.
A few years ago, ideas that we talked about were thought to be fringe ideas, radical ideas, extremist ideas. Those ideas are now mainstream.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
What's Uncle Tom but for white women who disappoint other white women?
One way you get rid of Trump is a crashing economy, so please bring on the recession.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
All right, folks, Unleash the Jeremy Hansen Show, hour number 2, segment number 3. I hope I'm scaring the daylights out of you right now because, folks, we got to be really, really careful. You know, I started looking into this a little bit and looked at all the people dying. And like I've said before, there's a reason that Ebola is spreading in Africa like it is. There's a reason that Hillary Clinton ordered the member nations of the UN, the people, the elites there, ordered us to take their DNA. Now, if you look up what is the deadliest biological weapon, there's four things that come up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, this should scare you. We've watched swine flu, bird flu. You know, we've watched Ebola. We've watched all this stuff. Number 1, anthrax. Bacillus anthracis. Number 1 biological weapon. Number 2 is variola major, which is smallpox. Okay, now guess what? South America has been ravaged by smallpox to this day, and I can take you within 20 miles of my home here and show you old grave sites where whole families were wiped out by typhoid or by smallpox, and it says it right on their grave headstones. Died of this, died of this, died of this. I'm talking early 1800s. But number 3 is interesting. Number 3, weaponized biological. What is it? Number 3 biological weapon, Ebola. Ebola. The Ebola virus. And then number 4 is the Marburg virus. Now, don't you think we have all 4 of them still? We have anthrax. We know people make anthrax. We know that smallpox is still around. We know Ebola virus is killing people right now. Not too sure about the Marburg virus, but my point is this, is that with the people with the money that are willing to do literally anything to gain power, I'm scared to death. You know, could you imagine? Could you take power with it? Well, absolutely. Especially if you were elite enough to create a strain of virus that wouldn't affect your DNA profile. That's the point we're at in this country. That's how far advanced we are in this country. And there are people that are crazy enough to use it. And some people say, oh, no. People wouldn't do that. Really? Because, see, it would only take one person. It would take the right person to be able to do this. What if we watched other people do? Inject food with viruses. We've seen that. We've seen some people go infect other people with HIV on purpose. We've watched our own government infect soldiers with syphilis. So people can't tell me that I'm out of my mind spreading fake news or anything else, because it's the truth. And it's something that we really need to watch for. Instead of us watching these liberals saying, oh, we're going to come and get you with guns, we're going to come and get you with this, we need to be really careful and watch and be vigilant and not keep our mouth shut. If we hear something, it could be bad. Who knows? We already have typhus outbreaks. We already have bubonic plague on fleas in Arizona and other states. Infectious disease could completely annihilate civilization across the world. Something to think about. Freestyle Friday. So, I talked about Mitch McConnell. He actually said, the Senate cannot submit to media bullying and mob intimidation. Well, amen. Did you see the mob outside there today? How many people were getting arrested? Screaming and yelling. Here's the thing. I was listening to these liberals today. That's what they called themselves. I would call them leftists. But they were saying, well, a woman should wear whatever she wants to wear and not be objectified. And Ben, he said, well, yeah, that's true. You're right. A woman should be able to wear anything or nothing at all for that matter and not be objectified. And they're so happy because Ben's agreeing with them. And he goes, you know what? It's kind of like me wearing a Trump hat. It's kind of like me wearing a Trump shirt. Because I get objectified. I get called a racist just because I have a Trump hat on. So doesn't that kind of eliminate your narrative? That, well, we should be able to do this and it's our culture that's doing this. Is it really? Do you think, and I'm asking you guys, I got Liberty One, I want to know your opinion. Do you think that anybody should be able to wear anything they want and not expect consequences for things they do? Now, let me straighten that out so you understand what I'm saying. I don't agree with if a girl looks like a slut to treat her like a slut. That's not what I'm saying. But that's only me. I control myself. I control everything that I can control as me being a husband, a father, things like that. But here's the thing. Don't you think we should take precautions? Don't you think that we are responsible for the way that we put ourselves out there for people to be able to perceive us? I don't know. It was kind of one of them hypothetical questions where I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, hang on a second. This other guy comes up. Well, you can't control the way people perceive you. No, absolutely you cannot. But if you want to portray an image, like let's say you're a young woman and you know, the young women that wear the Daisy Dukes that pretty much their butt cheeks hang out of their pants and then they have this short little skinny tube top on to show everything. Isn't the point of wearing that to show off for somebody else? Aren't you projecting an image to somebody to get a prescribed response? Yes. Okay. Julie Jordan said, yes, especially the way we live or the world we live in. So don't you think that people, like, I'll give you an example. When I watch these gay pride parades, you know, I see the normal ones that are walking and they're talking about their rights and they're doing their things. And, you know, I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. I don't agree with you, but that's your right. I get it. Whatever. You're being respectful. Then I watch these people in dog collars walk by wearing nothing but leather straps down the crack of their butt and, you know, or they have nothing on and they're covering themselves with a rainbow flag. And I think to myself, what kind of image are you trying to project to other people? And don't you have a responsibility for the images that you do project? the way that you put yourself out there. I'm responsible for the content of my show. I'm responsible for how I act and how I treat other people. And the image I project is part of that. I don't know. I see these people on there and they think, oh, well, America has just completely objectified women. We need to take some lessons from some other countries. And I started thinking about that really hard. I was like, lessons from other countries. And I thought to myself, oh, should we? Women shouldn't be able to drive. Maybe we should go to Iran because, the liberals love Iran. And maybe we should learn that, over in Iran, they hang people for being gay. Yeah, they just back cranes up and put a noose around their throat and jack them up and in front of all the crowd say, this is what happens if you're gay. Then I thought, well, maybe we'll go to Iraq or maybe Syria or Turkey or Pakistan or, all one of those countries that the leftists just absolutely love. And I thought, well, over there, maybe we should learn that if your daughter shows too much skin, you're supposed to beat them. And if your daughter marries somebody not in your religion, well, you kill them. And if your daughter gets pregnant, even if she's raped, you're supposed to drag them behind a horse or a truck until they're dead. And I was having this conversation with people, and they thought I was nuts. And my point is very simple. We live in the best country in the world, and what they are trying to do is take it and notch it down again. They're trying to compare America to Iran, Pakistan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, any of the countries in Africa. They're comparing us to that. They're comparing us to Nazis. And then I'm going through and I'm looking this up and I see all of this stuff. And there was some poetic justice. I see them calling all of these Trump supporters Nazis. If you love Kavanaugh, you're a Nazi. If you think we should have rule of law, you're a Nazi. If you don't believe a woman, even if she has no facts, she has nothing. If you don't believe them, then you're a Nazi. That's where we're at right now. And that's so scary. I could literally say, or I could have my wife say, Barack Obama stole money from me. We have to believe her. Oh, I was riding next to Claire McCaskill and she must be a lesbian because she reached out and touched my whatever. And if they're saying, that's what they're saying. If you don't believe them, you are a Nazi. Now here's the completely cynical, but yet silver lining for me. This academic journalist, this is so funny. They're accusing us of being Nazis. And this academic journalist wants to pull a fast one on these feminazis. So he takes Mein Kampf and he rewrites Mein Kampf as a feminist manifesto. That's right. And these women, they take this and it's got Lenin Marxist dogma all over it and in it. And they start chanting it and they start taking this book and saying, look at this. This is real. Ha, ha, ha. This is our credo. Meanwhile, they're telling everybody, hey, you're a Nazi. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're a Nazi. And the book, Our Struggle is My Struggle, Solidarity and Feminism. That's what it is. And it was written in phrases from Mein Kampf. Things that they believe, things that they're willing to sacrifice their lives for because they've got to defeat the Nazis. But the very thing that they're reading, the very thing that they're preaching, that they're teaching to everybody, their little pamphlet of everything that they need to do was written as a joke. Was written as a joke by a journalist that wanted to pull a fast one on this movement. My Struggle, the Solidarity of Feminism. And it was taken all from Mein Kampf. Let that sit in for a little second, and I'll be right back.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Introducing Zenerex Nutraceuticals. Nutritional supplements for real men and women. Made with the highest quality natural supplements and designed to maximize effectiveness. Whether you need a little CoQ10, maybe you need a detox. How about some sleep aid to sleep? Probiotics, colon cleanse, joint flex, fish oil. We've got all the bases covered. Come to LibertyOneTV.com and check out Zenerex Nutraceuticals. Do yourself a favor. Do your body a favor. Come to LibertyOneTV.com and see the new line of products by Zenerex Nutraceutical. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I know all of you like coffee out there. Come over to LibertyOneTV.com/shop. That's right, get some black coffee, ground coffee, whole bean, and K-cups. Come and get some dark roast, some morning roast, or maybe medium. Come and support your conservative shows like mine, Unleashed Jeremy Hansen. Come and get some coffee.
Well, it's as good as it can possibly be.
Coffee at LibertyOneTV.com.
What a working man needs, and I'm gonna tell you. Back in America, that's the land of the free. You can get anything you want, as long as you got the...
They use their media to assassinate real news. They use their schools to teach children that their president is another Hitler. They use their movie stars and singers and comedy shows and award shows to repeat their narrative over and over again. And then they use their ex-president to endorse the resistance, all to make them march, make them protest, make them scream racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia, to smash windows, burn cars, shut down interstates and airports, bully and terrorize the law-abiding, until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom, is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
All right, folks, here we are. Unleash the Jeremy Hansen Show. Hour number 2, segment number 4 already. Man, you know, we went through some important things today on this show. I know they're not the funnest things to talk about, but, you know, I really believe that our biggest threat in this nation is diseases, is warfare, using those types of things. You know, especially when they kind of sugarcoat things and they don't tell Americans what's really going on. Hey, look at that. We've got Rocky Stucci in the house. How's Rocky doing? I'll tell you what, I love having a show where Big Sarge and Rocky Stucci, those types of people show up. It means the world to me. But anyways, we're talking about that. I wanted to talk about one final thing in today's show that, you know, I said was going to happen, and it really pisses me off that it does happen. I told you, I said, if they do an FBI investigation, a further one on Kavanaugh, we're going to see the FBI and some deep state dirty players going to come out and try to change something. So what do we know now? Well, we know Christine Blasey Ford, ally, Monica McLean, pressured Leland Kaiser. Remember her best friend? Her best friend that could corroborate everything? Well, her ally, Monica McLean, which happens to be a former FBI agent, went to and pressured Leland Kaiser to change her denial of the Brett Kavanaugh assault. And it seems like Chuck Schumer was right. Well, the intelligence community's got 6 ways from Sunday to come and get you. But why are we listening to this? Why isn't this outside of the Senate right now? Instead of people saying, oh, we need to listen to Dr. Christine Blasey Ford. We need to listen to all these. Why don't we talk about evidence? Why don't we talk about truth? Why don't we talk about facts? Why aren't there people protesting saying a former FBI agent went to the person that denied knowing anything about it, and they tried pressuring them using their FBI tactics to change their mind? Now, this other woman, Leland Kaiser. Leland Kaiser. Now, don't we, under what they're saying, well, you have to believe every woman. If that's the case, don't we have to believe Leland Kaiser? Don't we have to say, hey, Leland Kaiser, we believe you. We stick up for you. We're not going to allow a former FBI deep state agent to come and try to harass you and change your mind. We knew it was going to come. And yet I haven't heard one person, not one person out there protesting, bring up the fact that a former FBI agent went to harass somebody because she gave her statement. She said, I don't know what she's talking about. I was never around. Although I do believe her. What an oxymoron. I don't remember it. I don't think it happened, but I do believe her. Why? And we don't say anything about it. That's the sad part. Monica McLean says Leland Kaiser, the best friend of Brett Kavanaugh accuser Christine Blasey Ford, told FBI investigators in recent days that Ford associate Monica McLean pressured her to change her denial of the alleged assault, which had hurt Ford's credibility. Now, keep in mind, folks, the Democrats, boy, they sure wanted this FBI investigation done, didn't they? They sure wanted it done. Is this the thing that Feinstein didn't want getting out? Is this why she wanted to seal the FBI records of the whole Kavanaugh report? Or is it because this whole time they've been working with people that are still deep state in those organizations to try to leak this here and leak this there and not tell Dr. Ford of her rights? Is that why? And Monica McLean, using who she is and what she used to do, using that as a tool to try to, I would say, bully somebody into changing their mind. Doesn't that just destroy the whole narrative, excuse me, of the stinking pile of garbage that the Democrats are feeding us, that we need to believe every woman? We need to get back to traditional America. Let me tell you how that traditional America works. If a woman is raped, if a woman is sexually assaulted, if a man is raped, if a man is sexually assaulted, it doesn't matter. Your individual liberties were violated. And when you have facts, when you have evidence, when you have things that happen, we have due course and due process. Protects both people's rights and liberties. We can't just rely on somebody saying something, because we've seen too many times where people have came out, used it to their advantage, and crushed somebody else's liberties. It's not their liberties are more important than this person's liberties. That's not the way it works. The law was never supposed to be that way. Here's the thing. If one of my daughters came up to me and said she was sexually assaulted, I would go deal with the problem. Probably whether I had evidence or not. Because I'm a father, emotions get involved. I love my kids and I trust my kids. Now, that does not mean that that's what the law is supposed to do. You see, the law is supposed to be nonpartisan, non-emotional. They have standard operating procedures that protect our liberties. And they protect our liberties through rule of law. And when people start exercising the law in only the ways that they see fit, we start having serious, serious problems that cause people serious, serious pain. We've watched it across the country, whether it's a district attorney that is butthurt about something. Maybe it was a dirty cop. Maybe it was a dirty player. But it doesn't just hurt those people. It hurts everybody. They will take one dirty cop when there's 100,000 good cops, and they will talk about how bad all the cops are. Dr. Blasey Ford hurt every single woman that has ever been truly victimized in a sexual assault and or a rape. She did more to damage their credibility with the stunt she pulled here with the political deep state from the other side. She did more to damage their credibility and set that movement back 50 years. And nobody's saying anything about it. Nobody's saying a damn thing about it. Why? Because the movement is politically directed. It's a frickin' theater show. It's not about what it should be about, do we want to protect women? Of course we want to protect women. They are our mothers and our daughters and our grandmothers. You show me a man that doesn't care about his daughters, doesn't care about his wives, doesn't care about the women in his life, and I will show you a piece of garbage. And they destroy the patriarchal movement in this country. Does that make any sense? Because the patriarchal men of this country are the ones that believe that the women should be protected. There are rules, definitions, and transcendent truth that guide the way we live our lives and the things that we think. And they're tied to American traditions. And when we start walking away from them, when we start saying, oh, look, that woman wants to walk around naked. I know that's an extreme example, but I'm going to use it. That woman wants to walk around naked, but yet you're not supposed to objectify her. Don't treat her like an object, even though she treats her breasts like an object and her butt like an object. It's do as I say, not as I do, but at every single level in America. Just because one thing is wrong doesn't make the other thing right. See, somehow we've gotten in this conundrum where we automatically think, well, since this guy's right, this guy's wrong, this gal's got to be right. Maybe they were both wrong. And this Kavanaugh hearing has done nothing but dilute the truth of the reality of America, which is simply we've lost our base. We're not walking on our foundation. There is no transcendent truth. There is no living well in America anymore. It's all about me too. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. It doesn't matter what you think. Doesn't matter what could happen to me. I'm going to live the way I want to. I'm going to do the things that I want to. And if you don't like it, that's just tough. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the true downfall of our country. All right, folks, have a great weekend. I love you. I'll see you on Monday.
That's the end of the show. Thanks for coming. Remember, Unleash the Jeremy Hansen Show, 4 to 6 Eastern, Monday through Friday, on LibertyOneTV.com, on your Dash radio dial, and Mojo 50, and Talk America Radio. Don't forget about Roku, Smart TV, and Fire TV. I love you all. Until next time.